My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light of the self. I welcome all of you for today's session of Aparoksha Anubhuti. Aparoksha Anubhuti, as I told you earlier, is direct experience of self. It's as against the indirect knowledge we get in the world. So I see a flower. To see the flower, I need sense organs and the mind. So instruments are required. So that's why, in a sense, it's indirect. We call it pratyaksha because we are able to perceive it directly. But we need two instruments, sense organs and the mind, to see anything and experience anything in the world. But what instruments do you need to experience yourself, to know yourself? You don't need any instruments. You are self-evident to yourself. That being self-evident is called aparoksha, direct experience. When I go into a dark room, ask a question. Is there a chair? I can't see. So that means your sense organs are not able to operate because of sense light is not there. Then ask the question, are you there? Of course I am there, you'll say. To know I am there, you don't need any light, physical light. That I am there, I exist, is self-evident. If it is so self-evident, then what is there to learn in Vedanta? I exist, I am there is evident to everybody. Nobody has to prove, nobody has to tell that you exist. The Vedanta tells you about you, your existence. What is there to know? If you say, I exist, I am aware, because that's experience of everybody. That's called direct experience. That doesn't require a secondary or instruments. You don't have to think, do I exist? You don't have to think. Mind is not required. It's immediate and spontaneous. There the problem is, if you ask next question, why do you think you exist? You say, because my body exists, that's why I exist. Here is the problem. You are giving your existence based on the body. Body's existence is my existence. This is the confusion. Body's existence is not your existence. Your body exists because of you, the consciousness. So this clarity is being brought out in Vedanta. The confusion about self-identity. Who am I? I derive my self-identity from the body. Very confidently I say, I exist because I am my body. But look at your own words, thought process. Everything when you say, I am, you are referring to something unchanging. I was born 50 years back. I was brought up in Mysore. I am in Bangalore now. What is constant here? I am has not changed. The body has changed, the mind has changed, intellect has changed. So there are two parts to us, changing part and unchanging part. We always refer to unchanging part when you say I am. When you use the word I am, you are always referring to unchanging part. I is consciousness and am is existence. We make a claim that I am, I exist and I am conscious. That's the first thing we say. Then I am body, we'll say. The body gets added. So body is changing. The body is not constant. Body continuously changes. But still I confuse myself with the body. So Vedanta, the whole purpose of Vedanta is to remove this confusion. The confusion between the real I, which is consciousness, and body, which is matter. There are three aspects of us. What world thinks of us, what I think of myself, and what really I am. World thinks of me as a man, as an engineer, as a father, as a mother. What really I am, nobody knows. Even I don't know. I think of myself, oh, I'm smart. People don't know. I'll show my smartness. One day I'll become famous. So I have some thinking of myself. The world thinks of me as something, and I think of myself as something. But what really I am is none of this. That is the focus of subject of Vedanta. Who really I am. I don't know. I am the infinite self. That infinite self is called Brahman, which is nothing but awareness. That real me, real I is not known to me. I think I'm a body, I'm a mind, I'm an intellect, I'm a human being, I'm suffering, I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm a failure. So all the things which are related to body and mind, I superimpose on the real I. That's in English, there's a beautiful word. Human being. Human is the body, mind, and intellect. Being is the Atma, the self. We don't know about Atma. We only focus on the human part. Everything what happens to human part, we think it belongs to Atma. The body is limited, that's why Atma is limited. Body is born, that's why Atma is born. Body dies, that's why Atma is dies. That being is not, being is completely sidelined or ignored. That's your Atma, that's your self. Between the being and body, what are you really? The human and being, what are you really? All our life, you live with the illusion that I am the human. In reality, you are a being. Human refers to the body. The moment somebody dies, the body is not even kept for 3 hours in the house. It is taken for crematorium. If body is you, then the body should be respected, garlanded, and worshipped. But nobody tolerates the body at home because the body is not you, it's a vehicle. Real you is being, Atma. So Vedanta is there to remove this confusion. Now this confusion comes because of avidya or ignorance. What is the ignorance? I don't know who am I. I don't know who am I is the basis. I don't know. I am Brahman. I am pure awareness. I am infinite self. I don't know. That's called ignorance, avidya. Ignorance leads to adhyasa, a error, a superimposition. So when I don't know who am I confuse myself with the body, mind, and intellect. The avidya and adhyasa, they are twins. Avidya is the root cause, adhyasa is the superimposition. I superimpose the body and intellect on the Atma, the self. Avidya and adhyasa, they come together. Adhyasa is superimposition or error. So if you ask the question, when did this avidya start? We don't know when it starts because when we are born, we have ignorance of many things. I don't know physics, I don't know chemistry, I don't know biology, I don't know mathematics, I don't know language, English, I don't know mathematics. Many things I don't know. I'm born with ignorance. Similarly, I don't know myself. That's also ignorance is there. The child is innocent, ignorant. But as the child grows up, identity is given to child. Papa, Putta, your name is Raju. Putta, Raju. So identity is given to the child. So you get an identity from the mother, father, and society. Then your ignorance of yourself will continue because you don't know who you are. You learn English, ignorance of English goes, ignorance of physics goes because you start learning physics, ignorance of chemistry goes because you start learning chemistry. But ignorance of self will never go because you don't even know there is an ignorance. Other things you know, chemistry I don't know, physics I don't know, I have to learn physics, I don't learn chemistry. But I have ignorance of self or adnana of Atma, it never goes. Because I don't even know that it exists. If Adnana is there, there's no problem. But Adnana has many child. Adnana gives rise to birth to many things. Adnana or ignorance of the self is called spiritual ignorance, avidya, leads to adhyasa, wrong understanding. And because of this wrong understanding, so many things happens in our life. Because I think I am, adhyasa is superimposition. I superimpose myself on the body is superimposed on myself. So then I think I am the body. Oh, I am limited. If I am limited, I am insecure because the world is so big. I am small. I have to survive. For survival, I have to grow. I have to add something to myself. Constantly there is a fear and insecurity in me. Our whole life is a struggle, is to become secure, to survive, because I associate myself with the body. When I associate my mind, I go through a lot of turmoil, suffering. The joy and sorrow of the mind becomes my sorrow. Oh, I am depressed. I am unhappy. I am happy. The mind is like a roller coaster. It's as if I am on a roller coaster. So every problem in the world gets superimposed on myself. In reality, I am free from all the problems. Atma is not born, not dying. It's all infinite, already blissful. So there's an error which happens. This error is called avidya or ignorance. The entire spiritual teaching is to remove this avidya. How can you remove avidya? Ignorance? Only through jnana. There's no other way. Ignorance of chemistry got removed through ignorance of knowledge of teaching of chemistry. Ignorance of physics got removed through knowledge of teaching of physics. Ignorance of self, atma, avidya, can be removed through knowledge of self, adnana. No, I'll realize myself by meditating. I'll realize myself by so many other practices. None of them will work. Ignorance requires a medicine called jnana, atma jnana. Atma vichar, who am I? So the Atma Vichar, who am I? If I keep on asking also, the answer will not come. If answer has to come, it would have come already by this time. Because you are already 40 years or 50 years or 60 years. But not by asking who am I, the answer will come. Because if answer is there, hidden there, it will come. The problem is answer is not hidden. The ignorance of self is there. For that, a proper knowledge has to be given. That knowledge is called Atma Jnana, Vedanta. That's the self-knowledge. Sri Shankaracharya speaks about up to last sessions, we covered sloka number 75. Now we are going to 76 to sloka number 100. So this effect of this avidya and adnana, Sri Shankaracharya explains. He gives examples for us to understand. A man is traveling in the boat. Then he sees the trees are moving. The trees are not moving, actually boat is moving. Because of spiritual ignorance, we superimpose the body on Atma. I think that Atma is born, Atma is growing up.
Can't hear. I think you're muted.
Prabhuji, we can't hear you. Gayatri ji, we can't hear Prabhuji. phone ಮಾಡಲಿಂದ ಗಾಯತ್ರಿ we can't hear. Please be there. We are trying to resolve this issue. Please be with us. We are trying to resolve the audio issue with the speaker, with Prabhuji. Please be with us. We are in touch with Prabhuji and we are trying to resolve it.
We use, the world appears like that. We are superimposing our understanding, our error on the world and any object we see, perceive. So if you have defective vision, we cannot see the world in the way as it is. Somebody has a color blindness, he will not be able to see the world as it is. Vision is defective. But the person will never know his vision is defective. He thinks always there is a problem in the world. The problem is there in me, the perceiver, the ignorance, avidya. And that avidya causes a series of problems, series of errors. So further, Sri Shankaracharya gives further examples. When a firebrand, a torch of fire, is rotated in a dark room, it appears like a circle. It can appear like a line. So this is where we have seen the children playing in sparklers in Deepavali. The sparklers, they rotate, it appears like a circle. They rotate like this, it appears like a light line. There's no line, there's no line, there's no circle. There's, if you rotate like this, it appears like a sun or a moon. Sun. There's no sun. It's only vision, optical illusion. So that optical illusion is happening because of constant thoughts, feelings, emotions which are rising in the mind. The thoughts are rising, feelings are rising, emotions are rising in the mind. And that gives the illusion of solid objects, the illusion of something which is not there. When the mind becomes silent, thought flow stops. There's no pattern. The entire world which you see merges into the self. There's no world. The world is because of thoughts, feelings, emotions which are appearing constantly, bombarded. That we can experience in deep sleep. When you go to deep sleep, the mind is silent. When the mind is silent or mind is dormant, there's no world, there's no body, nothing is there. Only pure awareness is there. So the constant movement of thoughts, feelings, emotions creates the illusion of objects and the world. Then he gives one more example. Distance creates illusion. Distance. What is the distance illusion? We see the stars. The stars are so big. Actually, they are million times bigger than Earth. But they appear like tiny dots in the sky because the distance is so large. We see a mountain, Himalaya mountain. Himalaya mountain is like one small finger of the size of a finger because of the distance involved. So the distance creates illusion of distance gives a feeling that objects are small depending on the distance. And what is created by what is distance? Distance is nothing but thought. Thought is a distance. Thought is distance. So if the object A is here and object B is here, there are two thoughts. Oh, object A is here, object B is here. Between them, there is a space. The space is called distance. So distance is also thought. Thought is created by intellect. Now, because of this thought, our perception is distorted. We think Atma is the body. The self is the body. Vision is getting distorted because of the distance. Distance again thought. Distance is nothing but thought. Thought created by the intellect. So this does not mean the perception is not useful. The perception is useful because you have to interact in the world. The perception is required. For Vyavaharika or transaction, the perception is required. But for Atmadnana, the perception creates the distortion. We are trying to understand the self through body, mind, and intellect. Then there's a distortion. So tiny objects viewed through an instrument called microscope appear large. Similarly, because of spiritual ignorance, Atman is perceived as a body and a world of objects. The small thing, the subtle thing appears as big when you use the microscope. So, put on a microscope, you see a bacteria, which is very small, which is big. The small becomes big when you use the instrument. What is Atma? Atma has no form. It is subtler than subtlest. It is subtler, smaller than smallest, subtle than subtlest. Not small in the size, subtler than the subtlest. It is subtler than space. The Atma has no sensations, touch, sound, smell, taste, form. But the instrument available to is sense organs, the mind, and intellect. It's like microscope. When you use that subtle Atma through the sense organs and the mind, it appears as very big. Through perception, through eyes, when you perceive that Atma, which is Brahman, which is all around, it appears as a world. Through mind, if you perceive the same Brahman, it appears as emotion. Through intellect, you perceive the same Brahman, it becomes as thought. So the instruments of perception, mind, body, and intellect distort our vision. The problem is not instruments. The problem is in ignorance. I don't know who am I. Similarly, a sheet of glass is there. A sheet of glass, we look at the sheet of glass, oh, think there's a mirror, there's a water, because glass looks like water from a distance. This is what happened to Duryodhana. Duryodhana went to the house which are constructed by Pandavas. There is so big place. At one place, he thought there is a swimming pool. There's an optical illusion. He starts, he is very careful. He is very careful not to wet his dress and gets into swimming pool. Real, there's no swimming pool. It's only optical illusion. There's a place. Then, wow, it's an optical illusion. Then he goes into another place where there's swimming pool. He thinks this is also optical illusion, gets and falls into that. So the mind creates an optical illusion. A sheet of glass appears as water. A layer of water appears as glass. Illusion is created by mind and sense organs. Similarly, Atma, non-apprehension of Atma is called avidya. It gives rise to misapprehension, adhyasa. It's like I see a post in the night. The post appears like a ghost. There's no ghost there. So Atma appears like a body because I don't know who I'm Atma. Misapprehension causes, non-apprehension, avidya causes misapprehension. I see a snake. I'm afraid of snake because I have not apprehended the rope there. Rope is seen as a snake. The rope is Atma here. Atma is not, I don't know I'm Atma. So I see the Atma as a body. Atma is the word. Then from a distance, you're going in a forest and you see a shining object, a beautiful shining object. Then you think it's a jewel. You go near that object. There's no jewel. It's a fire. The fire is confused for a jewel from a distance. Similarly, in the same forest you're going, you see another shining object. Oh, you think it's just a fire, but it's really a diamond. So jewel can be confused as a fire, fire can be confused as jewel. Optical illusions, illusion created by the mind. So like that, because of the self-ignorance, I don't know who am I consider body as me, body and world. The body and world are mere objects. They are appearance in awareness. They are not real, they are mithya. Because I don't know myself, my real nature, I confuse the body and the world and body as real. What you call as non-apprehension of the self causes the misapprehension of other objects perceived. Why body is mithya? The world is mithya. Mithya means unreal. Unreal means appearing and disappearing. It's not there. For example, I keep going in a desert and then I see water. I'm thirsty. Run to the source of water. Then I realize that there's no water. It's only mirage. It's optical illusion. Water is not there. It's available there for experience, but it's not experience of sense organs. But really there's no water. There's only sand. And the body are nothing but appearance of Atma. I don't know because I don't know myself, real nature. Another example is given on a full moon night. We look at the moon. The moon seems to be running away. There's a beautiful poem in Kannada we studied when we were children. Chandira Naitaki Oduva Namma Modake Bedarhene. The child says, why the moon is running? Is he afraid of the clouds? The moon appears to be running from the clouds. It's another illusion. The moon doesn't run. The cloud is moving. But we think the moon is moving. There is a superimposition is happening. It's again optical illusion. So if your attention is on the cloud, the moon is running. If our attention is the moon, then we know the cloud is moving. So question is, where is your attention? If your attention is the body, mind, and the world, Atma appears as the body, mind, and world. If your attention is Atma, the self, the world and the body and mind appears as Atma, the self. Question is, where is our attention? To take our attention back to the self, we don't even know that we have self-ignorance. If we knew the self-ignorance, just like I have ignorance of chemistry or physics, I would have learned physics or chemistry. I don't know I have self-ignorance. And there's nobody tells me that you have self-ignorance. Nobody tells. Everybody tells me you are a body. Treat me as a body. Only until I come to Guru and Vedanta, I realize that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm pure consciousness. Till that point of time, I live in ignorance. I realize, when I start listening to teaching of Vedanta, I start realizing that I'm not the body, mind, or intellects. Nanu, nanembudu, nanalla, ideha, manabuddhi, nanalla, sachidanandatma, shivananane, shivoham, shivoham, shivoham. That adnana will go only when you go to Guru or the Vedantic teaching. From the world, you cannot get this teaching. That's why ignorance will continue. World, you get a teaching of English, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. But you will never know about Atma. The ignorance will continue. Then another example is given. There's a direction. We are going to a place. So suddenly we see three paths. One way is going like this, one way is going like this, one way is going like this. I'm confused where I have to go. I don't know where I have to go. Then I ask somebody, which is the way? The person says, this is the way. The moment he sees the way, then I know other three are wrong. They're not right. This is the right way. Similarly, I don't know who am I. I confuse with my body, mind, and intellect. These are like equal to three ways: body, mind, and intellect. I don't know who am I. But when Guru points out, you are the Atma, the self, it's clear. Now I know other three ways are not right. Other three ways are not correct. Body, mind, intellect is not. I am not body, mind, intellect. I am the Atma. So when once clarity is given about the direction, then you know other paths are not there. Other things are not right. So when you know you are Atma, then body, mind, intellect are not Atma. They are Anatma. They are Mithya. It's clear. The problem is recognition of the self. A full moon night, during full moon night, you see the reflection of a moon in a lake. The lake is serene and silent. The reflection is very clear. But there's let's say if this lake is disturbed, the moon reflection also seems to be disturbed. If I don't know what is moon, or I say moon is shaking, because reflection of moon I consider as moon. Reflection is shaking, moon is shaking. Atma is like a moon. It is never shaking. It's always serene and still. The same Atma gets reflected in the mind, serene and silent mind. The reflection of Atma in the mind is called Chidabhasa. Mind is like a lake. If there is a movement in the mind, if there is a movement in the lake, the Chidabhasa reflects, Chidabhasa shakes. Chidabhasa is a reflection of mind, reflection of consciousness in the body. So I feel conscious because of Chidabhasa, reflected consciousness. So I don't know Atma. I don't know real I, real self. The moon is not seen. The reflection is seen. Reflection is Chidabhasa. So I start feeling, oh, I am suffering. I am happy. I am unhappy. Depending on the variations in the mind. Depending on the disturbance in the mind. So disturbance in the mind is superimposition of the reflection. I don't even know who am I. I don't know. The real moon is the original moon. I don't know. Only reflected moon I know. Chidabhasa I know. Because I feel I am conscious. This consciousness is a reflected consciousness, not original consciousness. The original consciousness is Atma. That I have to recognize myself. When I don't know the self, idea that I am the body and world is real persists. When the self is not known, the idea is that I am the body and the world is real, the illusion persists. It is like you see a snake. The snake appears to be very real. I am afraid of the snake because I have not seen the rope there. Once I see the rope, the snake is not there. Snake is not real. Similarly, when I don't know the Atma, Atma is the all-pervading reality. I see the world and the body as real. The rope is not seen, the snake is seen. But if you see the rope, the snake loses its value. Similarly, if you see Atma, if you recognize Atma, if you realize the Atma, the world and body appear to be unreal, mithya. The ghost is seen in the post. There's no ghost there, but ghost appears to be very real. I'm scared. Until I see the post, then I'm not scared about the ghost. Similarly, the world and body appears to be very real until I recognize myself, Atma, which is the unchanging reality. Until I recognize myself, until I realize myself, the world is substantial, the world and the body are substantial. But the moment I recognize the Atma, the world and body becomes unsubstantial. They become mithya. So world unsubstantial, you have to understand. I go and try to buy gold or necklace. Give me a necklace, sir. How much it costs? The goldsmith will say, let me weigh the necklace. No, I don't want gold. I want only necklace. There's no necklace without gold. The gold necklace is the form of gold. What you are paying for is not necklace. You are paying for the gold only. The gold is the substance of necklace. Necklace has no substance. Right now, we are thinking the world and body has substance. Atma has no substance. We have forgotten the gold and we are only looking at the jewelry. Necklace. Necklace has no substance. Only gold has substance. Similarly, Atma has the only substance and the world and the body has no substance. It's just an appearance. It's not real. Because appearance also disappears. But gold, the substance doesn't disappear. When they wake up, the world appears. When you go to dream, the waking world disappears and dream world appears. When you go to deep sleep, dream world disappears. The world is appearing and disappearing. The world is just a form, mere name and form appearing in consciousness. The name and form does not have substance. But I exist in all the states, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. I am substantial. But I forget my substance and give substance to the body and the world. Reality to the body and the world. This is illusion. So, Sri Shankaracharya says, the body and the world is dissolves in the self. So don't be under the impression that dissolve means it just disappears into the self. It loses its significance. It loses its value. Only self alone becomes a reality. Ultimately, when you buy a necklace, you are giving value to the gold, not to the jewelry, not to the form. So the value of the world and the body goes, and the value of the self is recognized. So what does it mean that? So we say the world is, body is. So then we realize that isness is not in the world, isness is not in the body, isness is my nature. I exist. I am awareness, Sat, Chit, Ananda. My existence I am giving it to them. My existence is superimposed on them, the body and the world. The isness is transferred or I amness is transferred to real Atma, which is pure awareness, rather than for the body and the mind. So Sri Shankaracharya gives further arguments. Everything what you see in the world, sentient, insentient, Jada and Chaitanya, Chara and Achara, moving and non-moving, is self only. I already told how it's self. When you through sense organ, the self appears as a world. When you see the mind through the mind, self appears as emotions. When you see we see through the intellect, self appears as thoughts. The world is nothing but thoughts. Thoughts are nothing but consciousness. The world is nothing but self only. So when this whole thing is self, your body is also part of the world. Body is also appearing with the world only. There's no body independent of the world. Your body is made up of 5 elements, Panchabhutas, which is nothing but makeup of the world. And when you wake up in the morning, body and the world appear together. It's not that body is there and the world appears, or world is there, body appears. Body and the world appear together. Body and world are one reality. Your body is a part of Prakriti. We think it's my body. Really, it's part of nature, Prakriti. What you see, what you experience is Anatma, this non-self. And one who is seer, one who is seer is the Atma. Anatma is the world, Anatma is the body, and Atma is real I. It's like gold and ornaments. Gold appears as necklace, chain, ring. Necklace, chain, and ring have no substance without gold. Necklace is gold, chain is gold, or ring is gold. They don't have substance. What doesn't have substance is called Mithya. The entire universe is just like a bubble in consciousness. Just like a wave in consciousness. Consciousness is infinite. And I am that infinite consciousness, Atma, awareness. The world is like a wave, a bubble in that consciousness. If the world itself is just a wave in the ocean of consciousness, body is not even a dot. Body is not even a tiny dot in that ocean of consciousness. So Gnani says, I am Brahman. I am this entire universe. I am Brahman. I am pure consciousness. Sarvam Khalida Brahma. All this is Brahman. There is no substance in this, all this name and form. The gold can very easily say, all necklace, chain, and ring is gold only. There's nothing called necklace, ring, and chain. I am all. So Gnani says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. And Sarvam Khalida Brahma. World is real. Gnani is like a person who has woken up from a dream. In a dream, you had a dream. In the dream, you became a king. There are so many servants, so much of wealth, so much of respect for a king. When you wake up, you are back in Bangalore. The body of king is gone. All the kings, the people, courtiers, the people, everything is gone. So you don't give value to the body, king's body. It's all dream. Similarly, when Gnani has woken up from the waking dream, this waking dream is of dream projected by Maya. There is no value which is given to the body and the world, because this is all part of the dream. And how did the dream appear? Because of avidya, ignorance, non-apprehension of self, led to misapprehension of self in the form of world and the body. So there's a question now. When I dream from the dream world, I woke up. The dream world disappeared. The king disappeared. The kingdom disappeared when I wake up in the morning. But this world which I am experiencing now, even if I get jnana, does not disappear. So for that, Sri Shankaracharya gives few more clarification. The world does not disappear after jnana because body does not disappear. The body of Gnani will continue for some more time. As long as the body is there, the world appears to Gnani. But he knows the body and the world both are not real. With that understanding, he lives. That's why he's called Jivan Mukta. Now the Sri Shankaracharya gives instructions to the person. Oh, intelligent one, spend your time realizing the self all the time. Then, while experiencing the fruits of actions, you need not be anxious of anything. So Sri Shankaracharya says, get established in yourself, Atmadnana, Brahmadnana, realize yourself and get established in your true self. Your body will continue. Because body continues, all the trouble related to body can come to you. They are the prarabdha karma. Pending residue of papa and punya which is there will come. Accept them. Whatever comes, accept. Papa gives suffering, punya gives joy. And both papa and punya are for body, and body is mithya. Body is unreal. With this understanding, you live. This is called sthita prajna. Do not get disturbed by what's happening in the world or body. They are mithya. Establish yourself. You may have a body may be appearing to be there. It may not vanish after your realization. So there is now a series of discussions. So is there a prarabdha for gnani? Prarabdha means, see, all this effort we are doing, atmadnana, moksha, is to become free from karma. Become free from bondage of karma. So gnani's body is not dissolved. The moment gnana, you get gnana, the body should fall. Body should disappear from gnani. If it's not disappeared, is there a prarabdha karma? Body. Prarabdha karma. And if prarabdha karma is continuing for gnani, that question will come to us. See, entire method of Vedanta you have to understand. The method of Vedanta is we suffer because of duality. I am separate from the world, I am the body, I am separate from Ishvara. Ishvara is controller. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, there's a duality. Vedanta brings that further duality. Vedanta says, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara is there, but now separated from Atma and Anatma. Atma and Anatma is a duality. Recognize body, mind, intellect, world as Anatma. And you are Atma, the conscious and unconscious. Conscious, Chaitanyam and Jada. This duality Vedanta brings in. So you are saying, I want to get non-duality. Right now you have brought one more duality, Jiva and Jada. The Chaitanyam and Jada, conscious and Jada. Atma, Anatma duality is brought in as a first step. Then the teaching of Vedanta doesn't stop there. Atma, Anatma duality is brought. Then Vedanta teaches us the Anatma is mithya. It's not real. There's no duality. There's a duality only if Atma and Anatma is there. There's nothing called gold and necklace. There's no duality of gold and necklace. There's no duality of Atma and Anatma. Atma and Anatma duality is brought in for you to separate out consciousness from Jada. Once you recognize that, then you understand Jada or matter is mithya, unreal. First, it brings in a duality of Atma and Anatma. Then it removes the duality of Vedanta, removes the duality of Atma and Anatma, saying that Jada is mithya. It is like I and my shadow. Shadow is not my competitor. Shadow is not duality for me. The world is shadow. It's not real. So that is to be understood. Then only duality will go. If you think the world is real, the body is real, and Atma is real, world and body are Jada or Atma, I am the Atma, then still the duality will persist. You have to understand the mithya nature of the world, mithya nature of the body. There's nothing called rope and the snake. Rope and snake is not there. Either it appears as snake or it appears as rope. There's nothing called rope and snake. Similarly, either there's Atma, there's nothing called Atma and the world. There's nothing called Chaitanyam and Jada. Consciousness and matter is not there. The matter is appearance of consciousness. Like jewelries are appearance of gold. The wave is appearance of water. So once we understand that there is a duality goes, until that the duality will persist. Atma, Anatma duality will persist. So if world is Anatma and world is Mithya, the body is also part of the world, body is also Mithya. Then where is the Prarabdha? Gnani's Mithya body will continue. Where is the Prarabdha? Where is the residual karma? So here there are two viewpoints, from Gnani's viewpoint and from the world viewpoint. People see Gnani is talking, Gnani is interacting, Gnani is teaching, Gnani is doing service, Gnani is walking, Gnani is interacting with people. So they think, and Gnani has sometimes diseases. He is interacting with the world. So then they say, Gnani has sometimes diseases, like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has cancer, Sri Ramana Maharshi had cancer. So then the world will start speculating, Gnani also has Prarabdha karma. So there is no Prarabdha karma for Gnani. We have to understand the viewpoint of Gnani and viewpoint of the world. Gnani's viewpoint is viewpoint of Gnana. The world viewpoint is Vyavaharika, transactional. So there are two different viewpoints. From the people who are in the world, they are still not out of, they have still avidya is there. For them, Gnani's body appears. For Gnani, everything appears as Atma. The world and the body appears as Atma. His viewpoint is Paramarthika, reality. Whereas people's viewpoint is Vyavaharika. There are different viewpoints. We should not confuse these viewpoints. People see Gnani's body because their ignorance is not gone. Their avidya is not gone. So Gnani does not experience his body as an object. For him, everything is Atma, the self. So this is what is called Vyavaharika and Paramarthika. There are two different viewpoints. Paramarthika is absolute reality. So we can give another example. Somebody is going in a plane. For him, everything in the ground looks like small, tiny, little. A whole big building will look a small, tiny building. The fields will look very small. So it's like small things. His viewpoint is very big viewpoint. His viewpoint is from the plane, aeroplane. And for a person who is walking on the street, everything looks big. So building is big. People of that size. So the viewpoints are different. Person in the plane and person in the ground. So Gnani's viewpoint is like a viewpoint of a person in the plane. For him, everything looks like Atma. For him, there's no body. There's no Prarabdha. Whereas people who are avidya or ignorance, they're like people on the ground. For them, the world looks very different. The world and body and mind has a transactional reality. Gnani will interact with the world. Everything appears to interaction, but Papa Punya will the body can go to suffering, but for Gnani, everything is Atma. So Gnani has realized I am the non-doer, Akarta. If everything is Atma, where is the doer, deed and action? So for any action or karma, there is a doer, deed and doing. Karta, karma and kriya. Three aspects are required. So when everything is Atma, where is this three? Karta, karma, kriya. That's why there's no Prarabdha karma from the Gnani's viewpoint. Dream body is unreal after waking up. So similarly, this body which we have in the waking state is unreal for a Gnani. It's mithya. When that is mithya, there's no question of Prarabdha karma. There's no Prarabdha karma for because world and body both are mithya. The continuity of the body is from the world point of view. When the world is negated, the body is also small point of part for it. Body is negated, the karma is gone. When the body is not there, there is a concept of karma. From Gnani point of view, there's no karma. Prarabdha karma is also not there. It's like after waking from a dream, the dream body is not real. So in your dream, you struggled a lot, earned a lot of money, okay? You became very successful businessman, you got an award. After waking up, all your karma is gone because all are dream bodies. So after Gnana, you realize that the entire waking state was a dream. And all dream body and dream achievements of the waking world do not affect you. They're all dream. So then the question comes, why the body is continuing? So when body is the vehicle, before Gnana, when Gnani took birth, a vehicle called body is given to, he acquires a vehicle called body to experience Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is the result of Papa and Punya. So I am going in a vehicle and apply a brake. When I apply a brake, the vehicle does not stop immediately. The vehicle will go for some time and then stop. Similarly, Gnani, getting Atma Gnana is applying like a brake. The vehicle called body will continue for some time and then stop. So that's why Gnani's body will continue in one example. Another example is Sri Shankaracharya gives, you shoot a hunter shoots an arrow, he realized there's no lion, there's only cow. But he's not able to take back his arrow. The arrow goes and hits the cow. Similarly, before Gnana, Gnani has taken this body out of ignorance. But after Gnana, he is not able to stop the body. Body will continue, like arrow hitting the cow. Arrow which is shot, it cannot be taken back. The body which is already taken birth, it cannot be taken back. Body will continue for some time and drop. So then the question comes, why Gnani is acting? Why Gnani is interacting with the world? So Gnani is interacting with the world. For all his vasanas are gone. All ignorance are gone. Avidya is ignorance. The ignorance of the self leads to kama, desire. Kama leads to karma, action. Karma leads to karmaphala. Karmaphala leads to vasana. Avidya, kama, karma, karmaphala, vasana. This is the cycle. And in this cycle, we are trapped. This cycle leads to punarapi janam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janmi jatishem. It's a circle, a cycle. It's called samsara. So when avidya is broken, kama is gone, desires are gone. Avidya is broken means you realize that I am purna, I am pure awareness, I am full, I am purna, purnoham. So when avidya is gone, kama is gone. When kama is gone, karma is gone. When karma is gone, karma phala is gone. And karma phala is gone, vasanas are gone, impressions are gone. So Gnani is free from impressions. So there's not, only when there's impression, you have some motivation to do something. I have motivation to do something. So if there's no impression, why is still Gnani is acting? Now, Gnani's actions are not for his vasanas. His actions are based on the vasana of this society. Veshti vasana or individual vasanas are gone. Samashti vasana is coming on, superimposed on him. The people will come to Gnani. They have a vasana. They have ignorance. They seek teaching. They want peace from Gnani. The Samashti vasana gets superimposed on Gnani. So Gnani willingly accepts Samashti vasana. He becomes a teacher. He becomes a guru. Because there are people who are seeking. So Gnani's body and Gnani's actions are not based on Veshti vasana or individual vasana. It's based on Samashti vasana. Vasana of the society. Vasana of the people. They come and say, they come and ask, seek teaching from Guru, Gnani as a guru. The teacher is superimposed on Gnani. Gnani has no concept that he is a teacher, guru also. So please understand that Gnani's body will continue after realization also. This is a mechanism which is, this is nature takes care of that. If Gnani's body also drops immediately after Gnana, the Gnana cannot be transmitted. The Guru and Shishya, the Guru Shishya Parampara has to continue. Gnana has to transmit it to Shishyas. For that, Gnani's body will continue. Gnani's vasanas are gone. But Samashti vasanas, Shishya's vasana will get superimposed on Gnani. Then he will become Guru and he starts teaching. The Guru Shishya Parampara will continue. For that, Gnani's body will continue. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had a desire for food. Mother Sharada Devi used to tease him. you consider yourself, people consider you as a gnani, but you have desire for food. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, for I need to teach, I need to give my dana to the students. Okay, for that body is required. If the body drops, I can't teach. I'm waiting for the students to come. That time Vivekananda and other students had not come. I'm waiting for, mother has told that the students will come. I'm waiting for them. To maintain this body, I have to keep some desire. I've kept desire for food. The day I lose the desire for food, my body will drop. So he maintained his body. The body of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa got maintained because of prarabdha karma for food vasana. But his desire is to teach. And he got cancer of the throat, and after within a couple of days, he was not able to eat food and body got dropped. So similarly, the Gnani's body will continue for the purpose of teaching or samashti vasana. So next question is, why prarabdha continues? Prarabdha is nothing but actions of previous life. I did something, I did papa and punya. The papa and punya became three karmas: sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma. There are three karmas are there. So prarabdha karma is a result of past life. Now, the prarabdha of result of prarabdha karma past life is also gone. How? When you realize the present life itself is a dream. Present life itself is not reality. It's an appearance. It's a dream. I was never born. I will never die. I don't have birth and death. If you realize that, then where is the past life? Where is the past life? So you Gnani, please, we have a thinking that Gnani has no future birth. Gnani realizes he didn't have past birth also. So all past births get nullified in the Gnana. And there's no future birth. A present birth itself gets nullified. Past, present, and future births are nullified. So then where is the question when past birth itself is nullified as a dream, then where is the karma from the life? So in your dream, you did good karma. You earned a lot of money. You constructed temples. But after you wake up, all punya of constructing temple, all earning money, everything is gone because it's a dream body. So Gnani realizes the past, present, and future all are unreal. The birth itself is not there. So he nullifies entire life cycles, not just future life cycle. So because of that, prarabdha of Gnani gets nullified. And Gnani lives as a Jivan Mukta. People call somebody as Jivan Mukta because based on his body. His body is walking, his body is talking. They call body of Gnani as Jivan Mukta. But Gnani is not the body, Gnani is the Atma. People can't understand that. So then question then comes, in the dream, I did some karma. Dream, I did a very good karma of building a temple. Okay, donating some money to the temple, donating money to the charity. I earned a lot of money. Then I took birth in next life, in the dream itself, in another family. After waking up, you all our dreams. You just say all our dreams. So what is birth and what is death? Association of a body with Atma is called birth. Dissociation of body with Atma is called death. Association of body is called birth. Dissociation of body is called death. Now when the body is realized as a dream body, body is not real. Atma is real. How can be unreal associated with the real? It's just a superimposition. Just like cloud is superimposed on the moon, moon appears to be moving. It's a superimposition. Nothing is happening to the moon. So Atma is never born. Atma never dies. Once we realize that superimposition, dream falsified. When the dream body is falsified, waking body is also falsified. When you wake up from the waking dream, then where is the question of birth for a superimposed body? And where is the question of prarabdha karma? I was born with prarabdha karma. That question of prarabdha karma also disappears. The mud is considered as upadana karana or material cause of the world, material cause of the pot. Ignorance is cause of the world. Just like mud is the cause of upadana karana or material cause of pot. Without mud, there is no pot. Mud is the material. Similarly, ignorance is called upadana karana for the world. When the ignorance is destroyed, where is the world? The clay appears as pot. The pot appears to be real. Pot, we can drink water. Pot appears to be is an object. On closer examination, if you examine it, there's nothing. Pot is nothing but mud only. The pot can change shape. Pot can get destroyed, but nothing happens to the mud. Substance of the pot is mud only. The body can get destroyed, but consciousness cannot get destroyed. Consciousness is the essential reality. Now, why did the body appear and world appear? Is because of ignorance. I don't know who am I. This ignorance goes from one life to other lifetime. And there is a superimposition creating the bodies, Karana Sharira. When you realize the body and the world are mithya and realize who you are, Atma, the upadana karana or the ignorance which is the cause of the world and body gets destroyed. I realize I am the pure consciousness, the body and the world are real, unreal. So when the ignorance is gone, where is the question of prarabdha karma? Due to the delusion, rope is seen as a snake, the post is seen as a ghost. Similarly, forgetting the truth, I am the Atma, ignorance sees the body and the world when the Atma is forgotten. Due to non-apprehension of our truth, we are seeing the world of plurality. When the ignorance is the cause of this, ignorance is the mother of this, ignorance is the padana karana. When the ignorance is destroyed, the body and world are considered as mithya. What remains is only pure awareness, which is satya. Now, Gnani, once he has a Gnana, the world doesn't disappear. Like a dream world disappears when you're waking up. Waking world doesn't disappear when the Atma Gnana comes. Because the body will continue result of prarabdha karma from the point of view of Adnani. So Gnani can very well experience the world, very well enjoy the world, knowing very well it's unreal. It's like we can go to a movie and enjoy the movie. We know the movie is unreal, but we can enjoy the movie. For Gnani, the world and the body are unreal. He can enjoy the unreal body and the world as Leela, play, a movie. When the reality of snake is known, when the reality of rope is known, the snake will not remain. Similarly, when the substratum is known, the world vanishes into nothingness. When Atma-Jnana is there, when the Atma is not realized, I am the self, I am pure awareness, I am Brahman is not recognized, the world is real. When you don't see the rope, the snake is real. When you don't see the post, the ghost is real. But if you see the post, the ghost is not there. When you see the rope, snake is not there. When you realize the Atma, the world and the body are disappears, dissolves. Now here, you should not take it in the literal sense. The world and the body will continue to appear to Jnanis as long as the body is there. But they lose the substantiality. Jnani knows everything is Brahman only. The losing of substantiality means, so I say the world is, the body is, the sun is, the moon is, the isness is removed from them. They are just mere pictures, or what we call as Namke Vaste. In Namke Vaste is called Vacha Bharanam in Sanskrit. They are mere words. What is there is Atma only. That realization is there. So when you say mere words, I can give you another example. There's a big wave, the small wave in the ocean. There's a bubble, foam. They're all just names. Really, there's only water. So before realization, we are giving importance to name and form. After realization, you give importance to substance. So that's why the name and form lose their value. Only substance remains Atma. This is the meaning of dissolution. It doesn't mean that the world will disappear. Perception will continue. But the substantiality of the perception is gone. After you realize that snake is not a snake, is rope, Still, because of lighting condition, optical illusions, it may look like a snake, but you'll not say it's a snake. You say it's rope. Similarly, a ghost may appear as a post may appear as a ghost. When you switch on the light, you know it's a post. But after that, if you switch off the light, again it may appear like a ghost. But then you don't have any fear. The ghost is gone. The substantia of the ghost is gone. Only pillar is there. Substantia of rope is gone. Snake is gone. Only rope is there. So then, even the body being a part of the universe, body and world both being mithya, how can there be a prarabdha for a gnani? Then why scriptures are taking prarabdha for a gnani? So from gnani point of view, there is no prarabdha. We have discussed very clearly. So from Atma Gnani, Atman alone is reality. The world and body are mithya. For him, there is no prarabdha. His prarabdha karma is gone the moment he got a gnana. But from world point of view, scriptures have to explain to the people. People will ask why gnana is talking, why gnana is walking. So for them, the concept of prarabdha karma is given to the people because they have adnana. And their adnana has to go. They have to go and listen to teaching of gnani so that their adnana can go. For them, the scriptures will temporarily assume that prarabdha karma is there for gnani. Because they don't want to tell, scriptures don't want to tell, oh, there is no gnani, there's only body which is moving. Scriptures will tell, gnani has prarabdha karma. You go and learn from gnani, Atman Gnana. So the prarabdha karma is told by scriptures only from the point of view of adnani. So people consider gnani's body as Jivan Mukta. Gnani's body is not Jivan Mukta. Gnani is consciousness. But for people, gnani's body is Jivan Mukta. And without body, there's no teaching possible. So gnani continues to teach. So gnani lives with the paramarthika drishti, absolute viewpoint, just like an aeroplane viewpoint. People live in the ground level, ground viewpoint, Vyavaharika drishti. And when people approach gnani, the teaching takes place. So then Sri Shankaracharya brings the teaching of Upanishad to prove his point. Upanishad says, Kshiyante tasya karmani tasmin drashte paravare. So Shruti or scriptures, this comes in the Mundaka Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad. Tasmin drashte paravare. When the self is realized, what is the meaning of self is realized? Para avara. Para means supreme reality. Para is pure consciousness. Avara means the world, matter. When para, avara, the consciousness, subject and object, both are recognized as Brahman, para and avara. Brahman alone becomes the reality. Para, avara. When you recognize Brahman, kshiyante tasya karmani, all his karmas are gone. So Sri Shankaracharya points out, Upanishads say, kshiyante tasya karmani. Why? The Sanskrit has three plural. Kshiyante is a, tasya karmani is a plural. So Ramaha, Ramau, Raman. So Raman is plural. Ramaha is a single person. Ramau is two persons. Raman is three persons or more than two. Multiplicity. So karmani means not two, but more than two. What are the more than two? Sanchita karma, prarambhika karma, agami. These three. Why Sanchita karma goes? When you realize that all lifetimes are dream, none of the lifetimes are real. Sanchita karma is accumulated karma in all lifetimes. That gets burnt. Agami karma gets burnt because whatever karma Gnani does now is called Kriyamana. So now whatever he does with the understanding, I'm not the doer. There's no doership there. Karta, karma, kriya, all are Brahman. So when the karta, karma, kriya, all are Brahman, there's no doer. Because there's no doer, the agami karma is burnt. Prarabdha karma only appears to be continuing because of the body. But I already told from Gnani's point of view, there's no prarabdha karma. So scriptures also saying the prarabdha karma is gone for Gnani. Now why Sri Shankaracharya brings scriptures? The word of scriptures is final. Okay, it's like any dispute is there in India, Constitution of India is final. Any dispute is there, prarabdha karma is there or not there, there's a continuous dispute among scholars. Sri Shankaracharya says only words of scriptures are final. Scriptures are saying prarabdha karma is not there for Gnani. There's no prarabdha karma. To conclude the discussion. So then Sri Shankaracharya says, there's a danger because there are people say, Gnani is walking, there is talking, that's why his prarabdha karma is not ended. Gnani has got a cancer, that's why his prarabdha karma is there. So Shankaracharya says, there is a danger in what you say. Okay, the danger is, Upanishads and Vedas tell, Shiyante tasya karmani, tasmin drashte paravare. Once you get a realization, all the karmas are gone. So how do you realize jnana? How do you realize self? Only through jnana. Jnana alone can lead to mukti. If jnana can lead to mukti and you say still the prarabdha karma is continuing, so that means jnana has not ended the prarabdha karma. If jnana has not ended the prarabdha karma, he hasn't got a mukti, liberation. So if he has not got a mukti, then the concept of mukti becomes meaningless. Then Vedas and Upanishads say, study Vedas and Upanishads, get Atma Jnana to get mukti. That also becomes irrelevant. The whole lot of logic will get irrelevant. The mukti itself is not there. Then what are you doing? Mukti is not possible. So then, the teaching from Guru to Shishya that Atma Jnana is possible, Moksha is possible, that's also not possible. Entire system collapses if you assume that Gnani has prarabdha karma. Gnani has prarabdha karma only from ignorant people, avidya. There's no prarabdha karma for Gnani. So if prarabdha karma is there, the prarabdha karma is also seems to be true, real, and Brahman is also real. The Brahman is real, prarabdha karma is real. This is duality. This again is a violation of teaching of Upanishads. Vedanta says only Brahman is the reality, non-dual. So that's why we should not ever think that Gnani has prarabdha karma. Gnani is Atman only. His drishti is paramarthika. From Gnani's point of view, there's no prarabdha karma. So that's why we have two classifications. Somebody is called Jivan Mukta and Videha Mukta. Jivan Mukta is when his body is there, and Videha Mukta when his body is dropped. Both Jivan Mukta and Videha Mukta concept is only from the Adnani's point of view. From Gnani's point of view, there's no Jivan Mukta and Videha Mukta. Difference is not there. The moment he gets Jnana, he is free. So that's why you have to consider Jnana is negated. Jnana negates prarabdha karma. And that's why Gnani is free from prarabdha karma. Otherwise, we'll end up in meaninglessness of scriptures, meaninglessness of Upanishad teachings, meaninglessness of Guru Shiksha Parampara. So then Sri Shankaracharya says, I have told you about avidya, I told you about prarabdha karma. Now I am going to tell you about the path of jnana, process of jnana. So I'll give you 15 steps. What are those 15 steps? We'll learn in the next class. But essentially, process of jnana is 3. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. And Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. Surrender to Ishvara, Seva. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Seva. Now, what is the importance of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Seva? When you realize, you understand that everything is Ishvara. All this is Ishvara's grace. My heart is beating, my heart is beating, lungs are breathing, my eyes are functioning. Whole thing is I'm not doing. Everything is grace of Ishvara. The world, sun, moon, earth, everything is functioning. Everything is grace of Ishvara. Ishvara will take care of me. Ishvara is being taken. I am being taken care. I don't know when the breath will come in and breath will go out. So that is being taken care. Every aspect of my life is taken care by Ishvara. I surrender to Ishvara. So good or bad, what happens to me, I just accept it's my prarabdha karma. Bad thing happened to me, I consider as papa, which is matured. Good thing happened to me as punya has matured. And both punya and papa is also grace of Ishvara. Ishvara is the karma phala data. So if you live with that attitude, our mind will attain the emotional maturity. And then with that attitude, I serve. I serve the world, thinking that Ishvara is the form of the world. So ego drop, selfishness goes. So this is leads to Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana, Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshatva. Shat Sampati develops with this attitude and understanding. Ishvara Arpana Bhava. Ishvara Arpitam, Nechaya Kratam, Chitta Shodakam, Mukti Sadakam. Whatever work you do as an offering to Ishvara will free you from karma. So now that qualifies you for Jnana. So Jnana involves 3 steps: Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. Shravana is teaching from Guru and teaching from Vedanta. Who am I? I am pure conscious Brahman. Shravana is inquiry into the self. Who am I? Atma Jnana is only through Shravana. The other 2 are Manana and Nididhyasa, secondary. Jnana comes through Shravana, listening clearly. Because Adnana can be removed only through Jnana. Manana removes the doubt. So the Guru has told, I am Brahman. Am I really Brahman? So Manana process, clarifying the doubt. Coming to a conclusion, I am really Brahman, by removing the doubt. Nididhyasa is removing vasanas, impressions. So still I may have impression. I am a human being. I am a body. Okay, I am small. I am limited. So these impressions have to be removed by contemplation of Vedantic teaching. Nididhyasa. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. Out of which Shravana gives rise to Jnana. Manana removes the doubt. Nididhyasa removes the previous impressions. This is the process of Jnana. This process of Jnana, Sri Shankaracharya elaborates in 15 steps. That we learn in the next session of this. With that, we are concluding today's session. Today we understood what is avidya, ignorance, how avidya can lead to adhyasa, superimposition. There are so many examples are given, and then we understood that avidya, when the ignorance is gone, prarabdha karma, all karmas are gone, Jnani becomes Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta doesn't mean that he has no future life. Jivan Mukta means he has never had a life, never had a birth. So this is the Jivan Mukta. Then we conclude that Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa is the process of Jnana. What is the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa? We'll understand in next class.